Hi friends, it's Lisa Hetrick from Indigo Jade Art, and I thought it would be fun to share a new series on color mixing with watercolor. So today I'm using Quinacridone Red and Azo Green, and I'm going to experiment a little bit and share my findings with you. Okay, so I'm using some B paper, watercolor paper to do these tests, and I've got MGraham Quinacridone Red. Love this, just kind of sharing the pigment information with you. I'm going to put a little bit of that quinacridone red down onto my porcelain plate here. And I'm going to add a little bit of Azo Green here from MGraham. And yes, just kind of sharing the pigment information with you for this one as well. So I'm just going to add a little dab of that to the porcelain plate. And I'm going to do all my color mixing right here on the porcelain plate and just kind of share my findings on this B paper and take a look at some of the color combinations that we can make with the quinacridone red and Azo Green. Okay, so I'm just going to put the two colors in at full strength, and then I'm going to kind of mix them up a little bit. So I've got quite a bit of paint and pigment here. I'm using my silver black velvet brush just around number 10, and I've got some water here as well. So I'm just making some puddles of color. First I've got the quinacridone red, and I'm just making a puddle of the Azo Green. And now I'm going to take some of that quinacridone red and just swatch it out here on the B watercolor paper just at full strength. So I've kind of got a little mix of water in here. I'm just adding a little bit more so we can kind of see this. And these color mixing experiments are really fun to do, and they end up being kind of like swatch cards for me, just recipe cards, so to speak, with watercolor, just to kind of see the different mixes that I can achieve with the different brands that I'm working with. So here's the Azo Green, and these two colors are just so delightful and juicy. I just love them. And I love that Azo Green. It's one of my favorite for leafy greens. Okay, so now I'm going to take a little bit of the Azo Green and add it to the quinacridone red. And you really get this beautiful kind of fall-like orange color. And I'm digging it. I'm loving it. So the more I add Azo Green, I add to the quinacridone red, the more I can change the value of the color. And I'm really digging that. And I love that about color mixing. And I can't encourage you enough to just play with two colors in your palette and see all the different variations of color that you can create. So now I'm going to take the quinacridone red and add it to the Azo Green. Now, the quinacridone red is a pretty potent and powerful pigment here. So when I add it to the Azo Green, I do get a little bit of a toned down version of the quinacridone red with some like orange and peachy tones. But you can see me here experimenting some more and just adding a little bit more to the red, and then just going full on and adding a bit of a mix here so that I can get a different value of color. And I'm going for a different kind of orange here. So look at that peachy orange. So just loving playing with this and just loving what you can do with just two colors in your watercolor palette. And look at that variation of range of different colors that you can achieve with just two colors. So it's a pretty powerful kind of fun skill to just experiment and just play with the watercolors you have and see all of the different combinations that you can make with just two colors. I'm going to play with it a little bit more here, and I've sped up the video a little bit so that you can kind of watch what I'm doing. I'm going between the quinacridone red and the Azo Green and just kind of mixing and playing with these two colors. So take a peek. So here's a final look-see at the different variations of color that you can create with the quinacridone red and the Azo Green. And it's just delicious. All of these peaches and light oranges are just perfect colors. I hope you had fun with today's color mixing adventure. Thanks so much for joining me. Please consider sharing the joy by liking this video and subscribing to this channel. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.